Welcome into another edition of Golf Center. I'm Bob Stevens of 104.9 The Surf, along with Pete Popovich of the Golf Performance Academy. Not Performance Academy, Performance Academy.
We want you to perform like a pro.
I like that. That was actually a mistake, wasn't it?
It was a mistake. Our design guy, he was a highly qualified person, but he had a typo, and it turned out that everybody loved it, so we just kept it. Why not?
like it.
I mean, that's how some of the greatest things are formed, aren't they?
Indeed. You know, really the thing everybody's talking about in the low country and all around the country is still the U.S. Open this past week. At Marion Country Club, I remember we were saying on the show a week ago, oh, they're going to tear this place apart. You know, it's short, it's not. It's going to be soft,
It's going to be a shootout like throwing darts.
It'll be like throwing darts. And they were getting hit by the darts.
Yeah, exactly right. I think their brains were getting a lot of darts.
What happened? You're a pro. You watched what happened. What happened?
You know, they talk about psychology of golf all the time. I think it was a mindset. All these guys went in thinking that they were just going to tear this place to pieces, and when they didn't, when everything kind of turned around, they didn't have a direction to go in. I think they were just frazzled mentally.
Was it a mental thing, even more than a physical thing, than the rough being high and this and that? The fact that they didn't seem to react very well.
I think it was both. I think it was one or the other. What comes first, chicken or the egg? But that mental and that physical, like you said, with the rough, just kind of threw them off, and now they're not sure what direction to go in. It kind of totally destroys their game plan.
What would you have told a player going in, a player that you were working with going into it after seeing how wet it was going to be, and the rough was going to be long, the fairway's narrow, that's the USGA, but it was a short course? How would you have game planned it?
I'd have given them a Bible. No, you know, it just, the old adage is pick your target, one shot, you know, go from there and don't do anything dumb. You hate to admit it, but listen to Johnny Miller. If you get in trouble, get out as fast as possible. I mean, it's real simple stuff, but you got to do that thing to win an Open, that mental strength.
Yeah, guys did not do that, and so there were a lot more, to me, double bogeys and triple bogeys than I usually see the professionals play. Of course, the winner of the golf tournament was Justin Rose, because he kept those mistakes to a minimum, and like you say, when he got into trouble, he got himself out.
He got out.
And just when he made mistakes, he'd make a bogey, or he might even save par. He wasn't making doubles and triples, and of course we know Phil made a couple of doubles there in the final round. This guy is a ball striker.
He's
we
amazing.
talked about him a week ago. That's what Marion makes you do, doesn't it? Is hit fairways and greens.
You got to hit fairways and greens. I think the biggest attribute he had, like you brought up, mental toughness and strength and so forth. You know, when he turned pro, he caught a lot of flack because he missed 20 or 30 cuts in a row, whatever it was. So those kind of things build a lot of integrity. You take someone like him who faced that adversity and really came back from that. And those are the kind of attributes that you need to win a U.S. Open.
Yeah, if you've been slapped upside the head a few times.
Yeah, exactly. Beaten down, and he came back, and you know, you get beaten down by rough and bad bounces and so forth, and he persevered in the toughest test.
And he certainly, again, played the golf course better than everybody else, certainly, and now he is a major champion. He is a great guy, by the way. He has played down here at Harbortown at the RBC Heritage in past years, and just a wonderful guy, and he will be a great U.S. Open champ. It was supposed to be Phil, though, wasn't it?
It was.
And
Bridesmaid again.
Well, you know, we thought early on when he gets off the airplane after going and watching his daughter's middle school graduation, and with about 3 hours sleep, shoots 67. Okay, he's home
off
free.
and running.
What happened?
You know, I think Phil might be looking at himself saying exactly the same thing what happened, because he played smart, did exactly what he should do, but I think those two wedge shots he missed on the back nine on Sunday really came back to bite him, because a player his caliber, back nine of a major championship on Sunday, you can't afford to miss greens when you've got a wedge or sand wedge or gap wedge or whatever in your hand. I think those really cost him. I think he's really going to kick himself in the rear end for that.
Statistically, the best player on tour with a wedge in his hand. He has the best scoring average from 100 to 125 yards, and yet those were a couple of the shots.
And that's
that
what let him down. It really came back to bite him in the butt.
That par three, that little bitty par three. 99 yards on Saturday and just 115 on Sunday, and what, Phil bogeyed it both days?
Phil bogeyed, knocked over the green. I think, you know, you talk about mental game, that wind kicked up and he was kind of back and forth between clubs, and he took the one. He hit a good shot. It just happened to go right through the wind and go long.
So, mental mistake or physical mistake? That one.
I don't know if it was. I think he committed to it and he did everything he was supposed to. It was just bad luck.
Made the wrong call.
Made the wrong call at the wrong time.
And got some bad luck. And of course, so Phil finishes second for the 6th time. The guy who was supposed to win this U.S. Open leading up to it, the guy who was the big favorite, of course, was Tiger Woods.
Town, that's right.
And Tiger was never in it.
No.
Kind of in it after the second day, but yeah, the club he's holding in his hand there was part of it, and he really struggled. You got any ideas where it's gone wrong for him over the last month?
I don't. You know, some people have said maybe he's not quite, he's back, but he's not back like he used to be. In other words, he's the tragedy he went through puts a lot of pressure on you internally and mentally and so forth. And he gets it back and he works his butt off really hard. But then you work that hard and now you can't sustain it. So I don't know if he has the endurance yet. But the caliber player he is, he'll get that back.
Has he put too much pressure on himself in majors?
He might.
I mean, we're all putting a lot of pressure on him. You got to win that 15th. Got to go keep chasing Jack. And two places, two tournaments that he's had success in the past, the Masters and the U.S. Open this year, were probably his two failures.
That's right. He's got to be looking at father time too. He's 38, 39 years old now, and Jack won his last one at 46, and maybe Tiger says he's got 7 years to win 5 majors. That's almost a major a year. So it's not easy feat to do even for Tiger Woods.
And yet they're going to go across the pond. They're going to go play Muirfield next month at the Open Championship, and he'll be one of the favorites again.
Of course,
because
he always is.
It didn't seem to be that he made any tactical mistakes at Merion. He thought his way through the game real well. The game wasn't there.
No, he just really struggled, especially after that second day. I think was he 3 over par and going. He was still within earshot of having a shot to win, but he just downfall from there. Would have been fun to see Tiger and Phil that last day.
Indeed. We have a terrific show planned for you today. Steve Wilmot is going to join us. You know him as the tournament director of the RBC Heritage. He's also the tournament director at the Players Am. It's coming up in less than 3 weeks, begins on July 11th. We're going to talk a little more about the Players Am coming up at Berkeley Hall. We're also going to talk about some changes at Sea Pines Country Club that are going to allow folks from outside the plantation to get to play, to get to become members there. It's going to be an interesting discussion. We're going to have that as well when Golf Center continues right here on WHHI. One of the great things about the Players Amateur that's coming up in now less than 3 weeks out at Berkeley Hall is really the connection that the players get to make with a PGA Tour event. Steve Wilmot, who directs the RBC Heritage, is joining us. You also get to direct the Players Am, Steve. A great chance for the players to really get a little bit of a taste of what professional golf's about.
Well, thank you for having me, and you're absolutely right. When Duke Delcher and Tom McKnight came up with this idea of the Players Amateur, it was for the players. All we ask of the players are to come. Everything else is taken care of, from accommodations to food and beverage. Great golf, great experience, and then also at the end of the day, they have an opportunity to get an exemption into the RBC Heritage in April. So it's really has elevated that event, but it's been a great relationship and a builder for the Heritage Classic Foundation.
Yeah, that's a nice icing on the cake, is the opportunity maybe to play with the pros at the RBC Heritage. The guys who come to this event are names that are not on people's radar yet, but they're going to be, aren't they? You've got some great stories of guys who maybe we didn't know that now we certainly do, in part because of the Players Am.
Well, the interesting thing is it's sometimes it's difficult for the foundation to sell the event because people are like, okay, we're selling tomorrow's stars, but when you look at a list of our past champions alone, the Ben Curtis, Bud Cauley, Camilo Villegas, Bill Haas, Ricky Fowler, they're just a list of the winners. But then you talk about Matt Kuchar and Billy Horschel, Dustin Johnson, Johnson Wagner. I mean, we can go on and on and on with the list of players, the past participants, but that you're watching on the weekends on Inside the Ropes on the PGA Tour now.
It's like a list of who's who, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's a great list of folks. Not Justin Rose. He was still playing over in England, and he was a hot shot over there at the time. But tell us how people can get involved. People here on the island and in the Low Country can still get involved with the tournament again coming up July 11th, just a little more than 3 weeks from now.
Well, it's free to the public, and obviously being in Berkeley Hall is a wonderful, wonderful community and a great facility for these players. But it does open their doors to have these spectators out there. But we do have a contestant am on Wednesday of the tournament. We pair amateurs with a contestant, and you get to play with these future players, but there are some sponsorship opportunities as well. We as the Heritage Classic Foundation, it's about amateur golf and giving opportunities for these amateurs, but it's also about giving back, and our efforts are to give back to charity as much as we can as well.
Yeah, certainly. Again, we're joined by Steve Wilmot of the RBC Heritage. you've got a story or two, I'm sure, to tell about guys who were under the radar, who have now decided the RBC Heritage is always going to be on their calendar because of their participation in their first visits here in the Lowcountry.
Well, the interesting thing about it is we're getting a chance, and myself personally, to get to know these players. You know, at the next level at the Heritage, our focus is, yes, we deal with the players, but the week of the event is more about the sponsors and the spectators, and the players kind of go about their way. We as the Heritage Classic Foundation, we're able to sit down with these gentlemen and get to know them, which in turns, when I have a need or we have a need at the next level, these guys are more than happy to go out and do some things for us. We've had clinics out at Berkeley Hall the week of the Heritage, RBC Heritage, with some of these players. Camelia Villegas did some things for us with RBC this year. Trevor, well, he's a bad example with Trevor Immelman as an exemption, but some of these guys have really been able to help us out on the next level. So it's about building relationships, and they see what we do, and we present a first-class event.
Pete, as a teacher, I'm sure you're interested in watching these guys and watching how they play and the habits they create. Is that something?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these kids are so well taught from at such an early age that you go out there and you see how these kids are so advanced at such a young step, and their progression to the PGA Tour is just a half a step away, not even a full step.
Everybody has an entourage, even at this age, don't they, Steve?
Well, it's interesting, and certainly some of them do travel with their parents, and you'll see a lot of different representatives there. There's usually a few agents wandering around. There's some manufacturers around as well. But the neat thing that happens to us too is a lot of these players, in wanting to get to the next level, myself and the foundation, we're not looking for anything other than building these relationships. They'll reach out to myself and say, you know, I'm thinking of turning pro. You know, what do you think of this agency and this agency, or what's the next step? You know, how do I write letters to tournament directors and exemptions? And I'm more than happy to do that because it helps us in April. And again, these are great kids, you know, growing up playing a wonderful game of golf, and it's been a great relationship.
Again, July 11th through 14th at Berkeley Hall. How can people find more information, Steve?
Well, there's a website, theplayersam.com. You can go on and find it at 843-671-2448, our tournament office. Andy McMillan is our tournament coordinator for this event this week, and there's opportunities, but please come out. It's open to the public. There's some great golf out there, and you're going to be able to watch tomorrow's stars.
Thanks so much, Steve, for joining us. We've got much more ahead as Golf Center continues. Pete, as a guy who loves to play the game, I know you agree that any chance to play it more and to play it at more places around this area in the Lowcountry is a great thing, and that has actually happened at Sea Pines Country Club. In the Sea Pines plantation, things have been closed off. You got to be a member, you got to be living in the plantation to play at the Sea Pines Country Club. No more. We've got the COO of Sea Pines Country Club, Greg Clark, and Ray Bragg, the head professional, joining us. Greg, tell us what happened. You guys have kind of changed the rules a little bit and have really offered to open up the membership.
Well, thank you, Bob. That's right. We've had a major covenant referendum in the neighborhood. It took us about 18 months to work on this project, in which we put it out to vote to the property owners, and they enabled us to change the residential covenants in such a way that now we can make membership available to individuals who live outside of Sea Pines. The other component of the change in the covenants is that we can also permit members of the club who leave us to stay in the club, and in the past we had to say goodbye to them when they moved outside of Sea Pines. So this is really exciting for us. There is one other component to the referendum, and we are now available for individuals who own boat slips in the Harbortown Yacht Basin.
How about that?
Great idea, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a terrific idea. How much has it begun to open things up? And, you know, the phone's obviously ringing, isn't it?
It really is. The referendum results were official in May. We were able to get out with some really good press releases, and you folks have been very helpful to us. And as a result of that, we've generated about 100 prospects. We have several individuals who have already signed up for membership, and we intend to see a lot more action in the fall when a lot of the part-time residents return to Hilton Head.
That's great, isn't it, Bob?
It
You know,
sure
about
is.
12 years ago, they underwent a complete renovation of their golf course, and ever since it's been in phenomenal shape on a daily basis. It's one of the best in the area. What has the renovation allowed for you guys to do to keep your course in such phenomenal shape on a regular basis like it is?
Well, the original course was built in 1973 by Arnold Palmer and Frank Dwayne were the original architects. And then Clyde Johnston did a major renovation for us in 2001. And he really did a great job of giving the course a little more character and make it a little more challenging. And we have to give credit really to Tom Metzger and his crew. He's our course superintendent. He has done a fabulous job of keeping the course in great condition. And we realize that because our members come in every day, tell us what kind of great shape it's in, and when guests play, we always hear how great course conditions are. And we have to thank the membership as well. They're really responsible. They fill their divots, they repair, they repair ball marks, and they're very proud of the course and keep it in great condition.
You know, that's great, Ray. In today's world with so many things that people look for in a facility, the golf course is just one aspect of it. What other amenities do you guys have at Sea Pines Country Club that some people outside the gates might not know about?
Well, we continue to make a lot of investment into our facility, and we're working on an exciting plan right now to keep that effort moving forward. But at present, we have a full-service fitness facility. We have the ability to offer aerobics classes, Pilates. We have yoga. We've recently refurnished the equipment with brand new Cybex exercise equipment in that part of our operation. We have an excellent tennis program under Matt Woller's leadership. We have 8 courts, 4 of which are lighted, nice hard-true courts that are in excellent condition. And then, of course, we offer a full calendar of social activities in our clubhouse throughout the year to provide, you know, a place for our members to come and enjoy the lifestyle of the Low Country. We have a restaurant that is open throughout the week as well in the clubhouse. So we are pretty much full-service country club and have a full package of amenities and services available in our club.
Ray, on the golf side, what have you guys got going on this summer for folks?
Well, we have a full golf schedule for men and ladies. If you like competitive golf or if you like social golf, we have a variety of events on the calendar. We also have our summer junior camps coming up starting the second week of July, and that runs for 6 weeks. We got 2 age divisions, 6 to 10-year-olds, 11 to 16-year-olds, and we just try to make it fun. We got a lot of beginners out there, kids and grandkids of Sea Pines members, and we're just trying to make it fun for them and hopefully get them interested in the game, and hopefully they'll continue to play once they leave here.
Best way to get in touch with you guys for more information?
Call our membership director, Karen Fleming, at 671-2345, or look us up on the internet at www.seapinescountryclub.com.
Makes me want to sign up right now. Where's the dotted line?
There we go.
We've got the paperwork with us.
There we go. Greg Clark and Ray Bragg, thanks so much for joining us on Golf Center. We're going to get a little lesson from Pete coming up in just a moment. We're going to improve all of our games. Stay with us as Golf Center continues. Welcome back to Golf Center. Pete Popovich, great teacher at the Golf Performance Academy. I'm going to get that right now. That's good. We talked earlier in the show about guys making putts at the U.S. Open. The putter is such a critical element. And we talk about club fitting all the time, but we never really talk about putter fitting. There is an art to it. There is a science to it. People should be fitted for putters?
People should be fitted for putters. I mean, it's arguably the most important club in your bag because it's the one that you're going to use every single hole. You might not use your driver every hole, you might not use your wedge every, but you're definitely going to use your putter every hole. So, but most people will just buy a putter off the rack that's usually 34, 35 inches, usually about 71 degree on a lie angle. And then whether they're tall, short, whatever they are, they're expected to putt well with it. And if they don't make the putt, then they point the finger at themselves, which isn't always the case. Sometimes it is the arrow and not the Indian.
So how do we fit fit ourselves a little bit, at least get an idea of what we should be doing, and then take that, transfer that to going to a professional and having it.
You know, everybody has kind of tendencies that they do with their putting. So those tendencies are usually related to, is a putter too long, or is it too short, or is it too flat, or is it too upright? So usually people who practice a little bit, they start to develop their tendencies. So once you kind of have a base or foundation to go off of that, then you come and get fit, and you tell the fitter, I'm doing this or I'm doing this, and okay, we can make the adjustments.
So fit the putter to what you're already doing rather than trying to change what you're doing to fit the putter.
Well, yeah, because typically your body knows and your brain knows what it can do and what it can't do. So if it tries to put itself in positions that it just doesn't want to be in, it's going to come back and haunt you at the end. So instead of that dog wags the tail, tail wags the dog sort of thing, we fit the putter to how somebody's physically built. Instead of just making them bend over more, stand up more, or what have you.
Yeah. Okay. What about the famous thing about eyes on the line and eyes over the ball at the putter? Is that right, or is that sometimes not right for people?
It is right, at least in our opinion.
Yeah.
That's one of, we found 5 eye positions. You know, we spend about 10 years studying neurology and neurophysics and putting and body, eye, and brain relationships. Mm-hmm. So that in our fitting system, that's just one part of the equation. You know, there's 4 others that are very, very important, or just as important.
Talk about it.
Well, you've got eyes over the ball. Everybody's very familiar with. Dave Pell's made that popular back in the 80s and 90s. You have a dominant eye, which will usually dictate how much slope somebody has to their shoulders.
Okay.
So Tiger Woods would be an example of a front eye dominant person. And speaking of Phil earlier, Phil would be an example of a rear eye dominant person. So Phil has a lot more tilt to his shoulders, where Tiger is a lot more level. You have what is called tropia. So not everybody's pupils are level, so one pupil will be higher than the other, so that will necessitates a tilting of the head one way or the other.
Uh-huh.
Okay, KJ Choi would be a perfect example of one way. You know, KJ always tilts his head one way. Uh-huh. Brad Faxon would be the opposite. He tilts his head the other. One other position is eye plane is a very popular thing to talk about nowadays in golf. So if somebody's eye plane and their head plane don't coincide, their perception of where the hole is actually distorted, because golf is one of the only sports that you don't look at the target while you perform the act.
Right, and I've always wondered that. Why don't we look at the cup when we're putting? We look at the basket when we're shooting free throws.
That's right. You look at the mitt when you're throwing a baseball. Yeah. You know, but tennis is the only only other one I found out. But tennis, you're usually looking at your target right before you hit the ball.
Sure.
And then you look at the ball. So perception plays a big role in putting.
Okay, we just got a few seconds. What about the longer putters? What should we be thinking about, and what should we not be thinking about with the use of a long putter?
You know, because of our studies, we found out that it's the effect that the longer putters allow us to do. So you take Adam Scott, it's how it's allowed him to set up and how it's changed his head and eye position that's allowed him to putt better, as opposed to just being the long putter. The long putter was the tool used to set him up right, but it's the effect that it has on where he sets his eyes and his head.
That's a really good point. That's something we're going to get into more with Pete down the road, I'm sure. It's been great to have you with us this week.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we enjoy it. Golf Performance Academy, how do they get in touch with you?
You can either call me at 843-338-6737 or contact me at pete@golfacademyhiltonhead.com.
There we go. We've had a great show this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to see you next time right here on WHHI on Golf Center.